UK R&B doesn't get anywhere near as much love as it deserves in this country. That may finally be changing. With over 4 years of history in the genre here, it's clear that homegrown R&B is largely overshadowed by others, in spite of UK R&B artists being one of the most successful both locally and globally. Today we're going to talk about the first ever British R&B Act Award at the Brits that took place this year, why it's a key moment in the genre's history, and why the journey of its winner Raye has more in parallel with the genre than you think. While the BRIT Awards, our closest thing to the Grammys here in the UK, may not have reached the same level of controversy as its American counterpart, it's got a long history of notable moments that have stirred opinion and sentiment. Some of them are silly, like the 1996 awards featuring both Jarvis Cocker of Pulp running on stage to protest Michael Jackson's performance and Oasis and Blur's rivalry.
I think this should have been shared with Oasis. I'd like to thank all the people. Oh, people. So many people.
But others have been more serious and opened a wider discussion that's been important for British music and its recognition as a whole. Marina Sawayama being denied consideration based on her upbringing, and Little Mix addressing the lack of representation in the industry and amongst the 2021 nominees were two moments that sparked conversation online. And the 2023 awards last year were no different, which is where our story begins. On January 12th of last year, the nominees for the 2023 BRIT Awards were unveiled, with Charli XCX, Dua Lipa, Harry Styles, Sam Smith and Cat Burns all up for the Best Pop/R&B Award. To be clear, while some of the artists in this list may have collaborated with R&B artists, none of them really make R&B, so the disrespect was taken personally, both by musicians and performers in the genre. This marked the second year that the category existed, after all gendered categories were replaced in 2022, following Sam Smith's announcement that they were non-binary. While the move to non-gendered categories was widely praised, it also sparked feedback in the conversation. Adele would go on to win the Best Artist prize, and in her speech shared her thoughts.
I understand why the name of this award has changed, but I really love being a woman and being a female artist. I do. Of
the Best Pop/R&B nominations came out, UK R&B artist Mahalia tweeted her frustration at the lack of R&B representation amongst them. She started out saying she was desperately searching for the R&B Act, before tagging the organisation directly and adding, "Forget putting us in this category, give us our own. How many times do we have to scream at you? Winning awards isn't the reason we make and release music, we do this shit out of love." But at this point, it's nothing short of disrespectful. She wasn't the only one to highlight the issue, with fellow homegrown R&B artists Tiana Major 9, Emanike, Bella and more cussing the award show out. This wasn't even the only relevant controversy surrounding inclusion at the 2023 awards, after no female artists were nominated for the Artist of the Year, in spite of the change toward non-gendered categories, something that led them to extend the list of nominees to 10 for all non-gendered awards moving forward. Let's be real, Mahalia had a strong case to make. Aside from being one of our best talents, the UK R&B scene has been thriving for decades, and in recent years has only become even more of a key scene for the genre that grew out of America to become one of the biggest around the globe. Artists like Sade, Loose Ends, Nene Cherry, Gabrielle, Soul to Soul, Eternal, Beverly Knight, Shola Ama, Omar, Desiree, Damage, Jamelia, Estelle, Lamar, Terry Walker, Amy Winehouse and even bloody Jay Sean paved the way for us to see an abundance of homegrown talent, with artists like Jack James, Jazz Karis, Tyler Daly, Marie Dahlstrom, Cleo Soul, Flo, Kadeem Tyrell and more. Side note, if you're unaware of UK R&B's lush history, I'll be dropping a UK R&B mix that covers the last decade in the next 2 weeks on both YouTube and SoundCloud, so keep an eye out for that. And from tomorrow, I'll be posting bangers from each decade of UK R&B's existence, all the way back to the 80s. So like, subscribe, and obviously follow Seangran and Stay Cool Fam on everything. Links in the description, let's get back to it. The combination of R&B and pop into one category faced critique months prior, back when the new gender-neutral categories were announced at the end of 2021, and Mahalia spoke up back then too, when Adele, Ed Sheeran, Dua Lipa, Griff and Joy Crooks were revealed as the nominees. Putting pop and R&B in the same category is really nuts to me, she said, and proves that the powers that be once again just do not get it. I love the Brits, I have since I was a kid, but as an R&B singer-songwriter this feels completely unprogressive to the whole UK R&B scene. Nonetheless, the renewed focus on the issue in 2023 placed a lot of pressure on the awards. Mahalia attended the show in a Burberry coat emblazoned with the words "Long Live R&B," designed by a Nigerian artist Oliver Sloan, and told the BBC, "R&B is a genre I feel very passionate about, and I don't think it's talked about enough. There's an idea that American R&B artists can be commercially successful and we UK artists can't. That conversation needs to become more positive. I just think it would be really powerful for R&B artists to have their own moment to shine. When Harry Styles went on to win the award later that night and naturally celebrated, many R&B artists and fans expressed frustration. It made sense for artists and fans of the genre to be upset. Mahalia herself had been in the game for 11 years, releasing her first EP in 2012 and going on to perform at Glastonbury and globally, amassing a huge amount of devoted fans and collaborating with the likes of Burna Boy, Lucky Day, LMA, JoJo and more since. After releasing a breakout album in 2019, things were on the up and Mahalia was expecting to tour it shortly, but with the pandemic hitting the year after, it dampened plans, while giving her the fuel to start her own Mahalia Presents event series.
My name's Mahalia, and this tonight is the first night ever of my new thing. And it's called Mahalia Presents.
It showcases homegrown R&B and soul talent, giving them an intimate platform to perform to a live crowd, and has become a key platform for R&B fans and artists alike in this city. Lineups have included James Vickery, Flo, KSR, Akemi Fox, and more. Speaking to Hunger Mag about it, Mahalia said, "I've been running these nights now for almost 2 years called Mahalia Presents, just solely focused on UK R&B and soul and having a platform where people can come and play and sing to a live crowd. I think that as long as I'm doing enough in my world, then I don't mind if it takes a bit longer for other people to get on board with that." So when the Brits announced a welcome change in splitting the best pop and R&B artists for the 2024 show, consensus was positive. Modern pop may have strayed from the teeny bopper days of being a well-defined genre in the 90s, but even if it does lean heavily on R&B, funk, dance and even trap today, it's important that the genres it sources from don't get conflated, especially ones of black origin. They even went as far as to increase eligibility for the award to the previous 24 months instead of the usual 12, just to ensure that the artists who were overlooked the previous year could qualify. In response, Mahalia talked to BBC News and shared just how huge the announcement was for her. "For me, when the combined category got announced a couple of years ago, I was disappointed for the younger generation of R&B kids who were going to think a BRIT nomination was impossible," she said. "I was kind of feeling that too. If I'm on a long list of all of these huge art pop artists, I don't know how I'm going to shine through." Of course, people were keen to see who would be shortlisted, and when the nominees for the 2024 BRIT Awards were announced, Raye made history by receiving the most nominations for an artist in a single year, at 7, eclipsing Craig David, Gorillaz and Robbie Williams, who had 6 at previous ones. Her nominations were including the Best R&B Artist Award, and the moment felt like a huge win. It felt that way not just because of those achievements, and not just because UK R&B finally got its own category and award, but also because Raye's own journey, much like that of the genre, has involved a fair number of challenges. A talented writer and artist in her own right from young, Raye actually attended the Brit School and always dreamed of winning the award of the same name. She wrote plenty of songs for other acts, including the likes of Beyonce, Rihanna, John Legend, David Guetta and Ellie Goulding across various genres. That's not to say that she wasn't dropping her own music as well. Aside from guest features on tracks by Charlie XCX, Jax Jones, Jonas Blue and David Guetta again, she also had success with her own releases such as Ambition featuring Stormzy, and one of my personal favourites, In Confidence with Malik Berry and Nana Rogues. In spite of the success, Raye wasn't always credited for her contributions and eventually felt she became Rentiverse, known for her features but not for her own artistry in music.
I am owed 14 plaques. 1-4. Isn't that sad? Can we put this in the thing so that my label and my publishing can get me plaques, please? Because I work hard and I would like to display my success.
The story sadly got darker as she experienced sexual assault in the studio by certain men, something she later detailed in her song Ice Cream Man. After a string of singles, guest features and EPs over the years, it made sense that fans would be curious about why she hadn't dropped an album yet. And following the release of mini-album Euphoric Sad Songs in late 2020, Raye came clean in June 2021 to reveal that her label Polydor Records had been withholding her debut album for years, with her not being allowed to put one out in spite of signing a 4-album deal way back in 2014. Yeah, 2014. I have been on a 4-album record deal since 2014 and haven't been allowed to put out one album. I've done everything they asked me. I switched genres, I work 7 days a week. Ask anyone in the music game, they know. I'm done being a polite pop star. I want to make my album now. Please, that is all I want, she tweeted. She added that unless a new single at the time, Call On Me, did well, which was originally meant to be the lead single for her debut LP, she wouldn't be allowed to drop it.
My new song, it's very new. Please stream it. I love it so much.
Imagine the pressure of me waking up every day frantically looking at numbers and stats, hoping that I can just make my bloody first album. With songs I am now giving away to A-list artists because I'm still awaiting confirmation that I'm good enough to release an album. Her statement gained media attention and support from many artists in the scene, forcing Polydor to drop a vague statement about how said they were to read the tweets and that they reached out to her management, but it worked out in Raye's favour, with her announcing that she had left Polydor to go independent a month later. The choice to go independent or post about label woes publicly might seem strange, risky, or even bad, but after being suffocated of your chance to do your artistry your own way for years, for many label artists it's the only reasonable option. And for Raye, it signalled a new level of growth and popularity. She closed 2021 performing her euphoric Sad Songs headline tour across the UK and Ireland, and dropped her debut single as an independent artist, Hard Out Here, in June of 2022. That was followed by Black Mascara in August and a double single in October made up of The Thrill Is Gone and Escapism featuring 070 Shake, which went viral on TikTok and became her first song to peak at the UK singles chart.
We are #1 in the country, in the UK. It's the first #1 of the year. It's my first #1 in my life. Back yourself no matter what. This is mad.
Escapism went on to reach the top 10 in over 22 countries and became her first song to hit the US Billboard Hot 100, a huge deal for the UK R&B artist. The 4 2022 singles were all part of her debut studio album, My 21st Century Blues, which finally dropped in February of 2023. As you might expect, the album was a success, reaching #2 on the UK Albums chart and leading to a mini tour titled The Story So Far, which included her first headline shows in both Europe and North America. The same month as her album dropped, Raye debuted on US network television, performing on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and went on to support Kali Uchis on her Red Moon and Venus tour in spring and SZA's SOS tour in summer. That same month, she performed at Glastonbury and later released a live version of her album recorded at London's Royal Albert Hall titled My 21st Century Symphony before taking it to the O2 for yet another sold-out show. At the time of making this video, she's currently the 126th most listened to artist on Spotify in terms of monthly listeners. And while that might not mean that much as a stat in the grand scheme of things, I think it's safe to say she made the right choice. On the night of the BRIT Awards in March 2024, with her grandma by her side,
Yes, Grandma!
Raye came away with a record 6 wins, including Songwriter of the Year, Song of the Year, Best R&B Artist, Best New Artist, Artist of the Year, and Album of the Year. Through the various speeches she had to make for her wins during the night, you can see exactly how important it was for her. She'd been nominated for a BRIT Award before, but this time she took home her first, with 5 more to come in the same night. Her speech for the Best R&B Artist Award gave her a chance to recognise its lack of recognition in this country, while shouting out the genre and some of the key artists in the scene today.
When I was about 16, 15 years old, I wanted to be an R&B artist. That's what I would say, and I was told, I think a lie, that R&B doesn't sell in the UK, so I needed to learn how to make different kinds of music. I know that's a bit shady, but I do mean that to say that R&B is so important, and there are so many incredible R&B artists in the UK who are eating it up. I want to say a huge shout out to Mahalia, who campaigned. She campaigned for this very award. So Mahalia, you queen, Cleo Soul, who is immaculate, Georgia Smith. So this really is a lot, but thank you so much.
The fact that Raye would go on to win so many awards, including the R&B one, was justice for both her and UK R&B in a lot of ways. Here we have an artist who's shown and proven her skills in writing and making music for other artists and herself, to the point where she's had to compromise and change genres based on her label's whims, with her own music being held up by sudden targets in spite of her showcasing her talent repeatedly over the years. As such, it's easy to draw parallels with UK R&B, a genre that's long been overlooked by the mainstream platforms in this country in spite of decades of success and how huge the scene has grown over the years. A scene that's similarly been forced to assimilate into other genres just to get recognised, and even then hasn't truly been represented when it finally does gain recognition.
Putting pop against R&B, there's never ever any chance that an R&B artist can be on equal. It's almost impossible. There's a long way to go with that, because I don't think it was fair at all, and I don't think any other genre gets treated like that.
As such, I'm grateful that artists and fans alike have stood up for themselves, their music and representation when it matters. Moments like these empower future generations of people that fall under both categories and will only mean that R&B artists here gain more acceptance and recognition in the future, without being forced to crack America and having global success come naturally.
I, in ways, do feel like a new artist. I've been making music. I released my first song when I was 15 years old. I released a mixtape called Welcome to the Winter when I was like 16. Don't go and listen to it because it's not that good anymore. No. But I do feel like a new artist. I got to start again. The artist I was 3 years ago would not believe the sight she's seeing today. And I'm in control. I'm my own boss now. Do you know? What is actually happening? Brits, thank you to the Brits. Thank you so much. Thank you.